$2.20. Reserve seats here. $1.65 and $2.20. Reserve seats. Hey, get down out of there, you. All right, officer. $1.65 and $2.20. Reserve seats here. Doggone it, just my luck. Here it is, the opening game of the season, and I had to play poker last night and lose all my dough. Reserve seats here, $1.65 and $2.20. Reserve seats here, $1.65 and $2.20.
Well, I think tell me old thing. Oh, bird-face, I think it's pardon. But what I mean is old whooping cough.
Here, stop calling me disease.
Is this a good seat for the cricket match, I mean?
Oh, you mean for the ball game?
Oh, you call it the ball game?
Let me see. Box A, row A, seat A.
No, that doesn't sound good.
No. I'll tell you what I'll do. As a special favor to you, I will go inside and see just what sort of a seat this is. How's that?
Splendid.
You won't leave here, will you?
No.
Stay here and wait till I come back. Now, don't leave the spot.
No.
Oh, heaven sent you to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't go away.
Toodaloo, boy.
That's the worst game of baseball I've ever seen. Of course, you young fellows have never seen any real ball games. In fact, as I look around this grandstand this evening, I see very few of the real old-timers. I mean men and women who were in this neighborhood when I first settled here years ago. Who remembers when on this very site formerly stood the old Polo Ground? Just as I thought, I'm the only one who knew that.
You don't mean the old Polo Ground?
No. I mean the old Polo Ground. Well, sir, some 72-odd years ago, this coming Wednesday, we played the deciding game of the season. There were only three cities in the league at that time: New York, Brooklyn, and San Francisco. Of course, we used Frisco to break a jump between New York and Brooklyn. And 1 million people were at the game that day. I wouldn't be exaggerating if I said there were less than 1 million. But to give you an idea, the size of the grounds, the home plate was right about where that lady's sitting, and the center field bleachers, if I'm not mistaken, and I probably am mistaken, but if I'm not mistaken, we're out around North Philadelphia. Well, sir, my manager says to me, Mr. Spaulding, I went under the name of Spaulding in those days, he says, your next at bat, it was in the 9th inning, the score was tied 5-3 favor of us. We need 6 runs to win. I am playing second base and right field. I am too good for one position. We have 4 men on base, 2 men on second, my little short fella, the umpire couldn't see him, and Babe Ruth's grandfather was pitching. I'm the bat. I turned to our bat boy, little Johnny McGraw, and I said, John, he says, what is it, Mr. Delahanty? I went under the name of Delahanty for some time, and I says, bring me my bat. So John and 3 other fellas carried my bat over for me. I used a telegraph pole for a bat in those days. I was very tall at one time, but I've been out in the rain. Well, sir, I crouched down in that well-known pose of mine, as was my wont. I crouched down. The ball comes sailing over the fan. I land into the old apple. She goes sailing out right over the center field fence. And at that, I topped the ball. Well, sir, I start for first base. The crowd are hollering, hooray for Weber. They knew me on the name of Weber. Crowds are cheering, the band is playing, King and Queen throwing kisses to me. Charlie Lindbergh ran home, got his airplane, followed me around the bases, and the crowd started to throw money at me. I picked up over $9,000 on my way to first base alone and put it in an old iron safe I always carried on my back when I ran bases. And I start for second base, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. This is a doubleheader we were playing that day, and just as I'm sliding in home, the umpire, Daniel Boone was umpiring, he hollers out, foul ball. Well, sir, you wouldn't give a cent for me at that moment. I rushed up to him, I threw off my overcoat. We always played in our overcoats. There I stood in my bathing suit. I got off my bicycle and I said, did you call that a foul? He says, certainly. I says, how could it be foul when I hit the ball to center field? He says, yes, but you hit it over the center fielder's head. Of course, they had me there. I couldn't answer that. But you know, it so discouraged me with baseball, I tore down the old park one night, moved to further uptown, at a Bill's Saloon. I had the largest bar room in the world right here. You may have heard your father speak of it. The old silver dollar bar, 660 feet in length, and only one bartender. He worked on horseback until Prohibition came along. Then I bought him a motorcycle. Well, sir, right in front of my bar was a great big apple tree. And one day I came outside in my white apron and jacket, very spick and span, and there was my younger son chopping down this apple tree just to get at one pineapple that hung near the top of the tree. He was very fond of watermelon. And I looked at the boy, and I had the logwood always carried in my vest pocket, and I said, don't you ever let me catch you chopping down anything that bears fruit. And I explained to him about the time when little Georgie Washington chopped down the cherry tree. His father didn't like it, and he was as angry as could be. So he confronted Georgie. Of course, he was Georgie's pop, and says, now listen, Georgie, if you really have to chop, never chop a cherry tree, because cherry trees bear fruit. Same applies to apple trees. One chop might kill the root. And never strike a woman. They're the mothers of all men. And never step on flowers or they'll never bloom again. Without the gift of nature, people couldn't thrive. Therefore, you must protect the things that have to keep you alive. So never chop a cherry tree and kill its precious root. And never push a push cart, because a push cart, too, bears fruit. We're all going home.
Here he is now. There we are.
Brother, you couldn't see a thing from that seat. That was terrible. Could I have my money back?
Certainly,
Thank
old
you. I
boy.
appreciate this very highly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, toodaloo, old boy.
Yeah.
Toodaloo.
Yeah.
Toodaloo.
Give him his money back. I see you're similar.